Next up, we're going to be talking about Arrowverse and doing a recap on that.
Yes.
All right, John, I know you're really excited for Arrowverse coming back.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
This is the last season of Arrow and the first season of Batwoman, so I feel like it's a really good time for people to jump in if they haven't checked the show out before. I want to give a couple of disclaimers of what's going on here, okay? First of all, there's a lot of teen drama in these.
Of course.
Okay? I joke around that these are soap operas with superheroes, okay?
It's like Twilight in the Superman world, in the DC world.
Yeah. These reviews are going to go really quick over some broad points, so we're going to be cutting out a lot of the he said, she said romance stuff.
Good.
Yeah. Because you don't need it, to be honest with you. It's all good stuff. And then the big positive thing I want to say about all these is if you are not a comic book reader, I'm saying like Batman issue 748 kind of comic book reader.
Yeah.
This, I think, is the best example of what comic books are like. They're very long stories where every issue has a new in and out story and there's an overarching story. And, you know, if you jump into the middle of them, you'll be lost on some of the story, but you'll catch some of it. These feel like actual comic book stories in that sense of what it's like to be a few hundred issues in on a comic book. That's what these shows feel like to me.
Gotcha.
Okay. So we're going to start off with Arrow, and the idea is we're going to give you a recap of the show and then leave you so where you're able to watch episode 1 of season 8 of Arrow, or all these we're going to go over and be pretty much caught up. Okay. It's going to be a lot of talking from my point.
Good luck.
Yeah, that should be fun. You get another drink. Okay. So we're going season 1 of Arrow, and it starts off with Oliver Queen, who is Arrow.
Main guy.
He returns to Starling City and is reunited with his family and friends. He was on, I think it's called Lian this island, where him and his dad were on a boat, and Sarah, that's a whole thing, Sarah Lance, boat that sinks again.
Already getting into teen drama.
Second sentence, we're already into team drama.
Yeah.
Anyways, boat sinks and they end up on this island. The dad dies before they get to the island. But anyways, so he's back from there. At night, he hunts down people, and he's this vigilante called the Hood, and he actually kills people in season 1. So it's kind of a biggie.
Cutting edge.
Yeah, cutting edge. He uncovers that Malcolm Merlin has this conspiracy. He's a family friend. He has this conspiracy to destroy the Glades, which is like the bad part of town where a lot of crime happens.
The Bronx.
He's like, we don't know if the Bronx is bad. You're just assuming. I don't want. If you're a Bronx listener, I'm not agreeing with that.
Gotcha. Destroying the bad side of town.
Yeah. So the idea is like, if you get a bird of the bad side of town, then the rest of the town's gonna be good, right?
Oh, Stockton. There's no good side of Stockton.
Okay, fair enough. We live in that area, so that's fair. Okay, and then we also have John Diggle and Felicity Smoke that joins the team. John Diggle was his bodyguard and is one of my favorite characters of the whole series. And Felicity Smoke was like this hacker tech support girl that worked in Queen in his company that he like recruited because he needed some information. They end up joining the team. We also get Sarah Lance. Oh, sorry, no. We get Laura Lance, who was his ex-girlfriend, and they broke up. And real dick move on his part, he took her sister out on that boat, and they were fooling around. So her sister died on that boat, and yeah, that's all kinds of drama.
That's
there.
Messed up.
Right?
Take her out for some brown chicken, brown cow, and then she dies.
Exactly. And then one of my favorite characters is Officer Quentin Lance, who is Laurel and Sarah's dad, and he's an officer who eventually gets promoted throughout the way, and he's one of my favorite characters. He has really good alcoholic arc, and it's amazing. We won't get into the drama stuff. Anyway, so during this season, for the first 5 seasons, we have flashbacks to 5 years ago that show what he's doing at the time. So during the season, we get flashbacks to him on Lian, and at that time, he's trying to stop these mercenaries, essentially. So he's just doing this thing, and he's kind of slowly becoming that. At the end, Oliver stops Merlin, but his friend dies, his best friend dies, which was, I think, Merlin's son at the time. So there's that. Okay, season 2. He uses the Arrow as his name now, and he doesn't kill him. He stopped Merlin, but now there's a new villain in town, Slade Wilson, which I think might be his best villain.
Why doesn't he kill anymore?
I think it was to honor his friend or some garbage.
So he does have he does actually make a choice,
because in the first season he has a list that his dad had put together of like people who are screwing the city over.
Gotcha.
And so he went around and just like start crossing names off that list.
So he finished his list.
Yeah.
He got done with his chores.
Right. Yeah. Like, all right, now I'm just gonna shoot arrows in hands now.
Gotcha.
He still is punishing people. Big time. So Slade Wilson now attacks. Now Slade Wilson was on the island with him before. And if you guys think that name is familiar, it's because he is Deathstroke, and he is played so freaking well. I really wish they brought him into the actual movies. He's really good. Roy Harper joins the team. He's his new sidekick. He's basically Robin. He's Red Arrow. And then Sarah Lance comes back. She's actually live this whole time, and she's the Black Canary, which is another villain or superhero that uses like screaming as like a force push.
Yeah, Banshee.
That was a really good season because it brought in Deathstroke. I mean, it was really good. Season 3, we get Ray Palmer comes in and he ends up buying Queen Consolidated, which is the company, and turns it into Palmer Tech and makes Felicity Smoke the new VP. So there's like this little, because the whole time like you're like with Oliver and Felicity think they should get together. This is the new guy in town. Ray Palmer's played by Brandon Roth, who is the old from you remember Superman Returns, the movie?
Yeah.
Okay, that's him.
Oh.
So he's really cool actor. I really like him. Follow his Twitter feed. He's got a really good Twitter account. Oliver gets up mixed in with Ra's al Ghul. So that's kind of a big mess right there. And Talia al Ghul too. And then Thea's dealing with the fact that Malcolm Merlin was her dad. So there's that whole thing. And there's like this like lust for blood that that's later on. Never mind. I won't say anything. That's later on. No spoilers on that. And then Laurel tries to become the new Black Canary. And in flashbacks, we see that Oliver at this time, 5 years ago, was working with Argus in Hong Kong, which is basically S.H.I.E.L.D. And this whole time his family thinks he's dead during those 5-year flashbacks. So, but he was working with Argus. Okay, so one thing I want to make sure to get in there too, I forgot about, is the way you got to think of this Arrowverse is you got to think they couldn't afford Batman and Superman, right? These are just Arrow. So Arrow's analog is Batman. And so a lot of times you get villains and stuff like that are Batman villains, like Ra's al Ghul, which is an Arrow villain too, but think of the show's mood and everything like that is Batman. Flash, you get a lot of Superman kind of things where they're like big fights with metahumans, you know, and it's like this, it's over the top stuff,
more space kind of stuff,
real bright colors, you know. So that's Superman stuff. So that's kind of gives you a vibe.
Back alley in the streets kind of stuff,
right? One's gritty, one's Gotham-y, one's Metropolis-y. So that's how you got to look at these two shows. Season 4, Oliver and Felicity are trying to live their like life in a small town. They get together and it's all great. Terrorist group known as the Hive comes to Star City and brings them back. Led by Damien Dark, which is another fantastic villain. The villains in this show is really good. And Damien Dark is played by the blonde guy from Walking Tall with The Rock.
Oh yeah, the bad guy. Yeah, that owns the casino.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's like a bad guy.
He's a good
for a
douchebag.
lot of these.
Yeah.
After this, he joins Legends of Tomorrow as the bad guy for them. So it's really good.
Nice.
Thea now becomes Speedy, which is like the new Red Arrow. She becomes the new Robin. Oliver finds out that he has a son from a past relationship. And then Laurel, spoiler alerts. Okay, really? Laurel dies in a fight with Damien.
Oh, God.
And it was so sad. Okay. Again, I said we're going real fast, guys. So we're going to try to skip all the big stuff or the small stuff. Season 5, Oliver expands Team Arrow and gets a new Black Canary in there because remember Laurel was the last Black Canary. Wild Dog and Mr. Terrific, all really good additions to the show actually. Prometheus is his new villain, and he also gets Black Siren, which is like peak soap opera. Black Siren is Earth 2's version of Laurel. So it is the same actor that played Laurel, but it's her evil clone.
Let's just go ahead and pluck her from the parallel universe. We miss her, and she's kind of just bored sitting backstage, so we're going to slightly shift her name and bring her back.
So Black Siren's in. And so she's in there. And then, let's see, where are we at here with season 5? Oh, yeah. And then the flashbacks are all of Oliver's time with the Russian mob, which was probably my favorite of the flashbacks because it leads right up to. So the flashbacks lead right into the first season because it's 5 years ago. So this is season 5. Season 6, Oliver is now mayor, father, and still trying to do the vigilante thing. The group of villains he's got this time is it includes the Hive Hacker, like the leader for the Hive. This mob boss, we'll get into him. His name's Diaz. And then the Russian mob boss that he used to work with, and then Black Siren. Diaz ends up killing the mob boss, ends up killing the hacker guy and taking over the group. Then the mob boss takes over the city, and Oliver reveals his identity in a deal with the FBI to kind of like stay out of prison and keep people happy. That was a real fast one. I didn't like that season at all. It was too much of the mob boss. Diaz, he was garbage.
Which, season 5?
That was season 6.
Oh, okay.
So we got one more season of Arrow, guys, and then you guys are all caught up on Arrow and you guys are ready to go right into season 8.
Nice.
So Diaz is, he puts together these 3 villains to hunt down Team Arrow. It's, I haven't misspelled here, it's Kodak, Silencer, and Red Dart. Oliver is released after 5 months of prison and he takes down Diaz in the process. Team Arrow is now deputized and they're like official. And then Amiko Queen, which is like a half sister that he didn't know about, becomes the new Green Arrow. And then you find out that she's actually a leader of the Ninth Circle, which is a terrorist group that's trying to like discredit all of Arrow's past work. And all the flashes are actually flash forwards in this one to when Oliver Sun and Roy Harper are working together. And so that's really freaking cool. Nice. So you guys can check out season 8 premiere on October 15th, which should be tomorrow for this recording. And I really like that show. That's good. Okay, the next one is kind of bulky. So this one obviously was bulky. Next one's Flash, also bulky, but then they're like real short ones.
All right, shifting gears. I'm talking about the Flash.
I knew it was gonna be a lot of talking.
All right.
Flash, again, think of a Superman analog. We start off with Barry Allen. He's a CSI member. He gets super speed after an explosion at Star Labs, which is where the main set is Star Labs for this whole show.
Nice.
Out of this explosion, we actually get a lot of meta-humans, some of them good, some of them bad. Flash helps Star Labs fight crime and also helped by Harrison Wells, Cisco, and Caitlin. Now, Harrison Wells, I really like that character. He's really, really cool. I think I'm going to spoil it. So in the first season, he's actually in a wheelchair now. I think was from the explosion, actually. He's super really well acted and very well done. Cisco's a likable character, so is Caitlin. Barry's dad is in prison for killing his mom because when he was a kid. And then he's raised by his dad's friend, Joe West. And Joe West's daughter, and Joe West is like a detective. Joe West's daughter, Iris, is who he likes. Like that's, his main squeeze. And he ends up hunting down his real mom's killer, Eobard Thawne, which is it's complicated. I'm not going to explain too much, but basically he's a future evil Flash.
He's trying to find his mom's killer to free his dad?
Right.
To prove his dad's innocent?
Right.
I got you.
And then we find out that, I love this first season reveal. Harrison Wells in the wheelchair the whole time was Eobard Thawne in disguise.
Damn.
Yeah, and needed the Flash because if Flash wasn't around, he couldn't be around later on in the future to come back and do everything.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a mess. It's wonderful. Okay, season 2, real fast. Zune comes out from another dimension, and he's trying to kill all speedsters. He ends up killing Barry's dad, who ends up getting free out of prison for like 2 episodes.
Poor guy.
And then
wait, his dad was a speedster?
No. Well, a different version of an Earth like 3 or whatever he is, but yeah.
Okay.
So, and then Flash goes back in time to save his mom at the end of that. So, yeah, beats Zoom and all that stuff like that. Season 3, Flash creates Flashpoint, which is the best Flash story ever, and the show didn't do it well. But it is, I'm going to be reviewing that at some point too. And he creates this after he saves his mom. So the idea is you save your mom, but then you change the timeline so much that nothing's right, and like Iris doesn't like you and stuff like that. Yeah. So think about it. If he saves his mom, then he doesn't grow up with Iris.
Yeah.
And at this point, him and Iris are about to get married. You're right.
Yeah.
So, he eventually saves the timeline, but then we see that Savitar shows up. Barry sees that Savitar in the future ends up killing Iris, and because he accidentally goes too far in the future, sees that Savitar kills Iris, then comes back to his time. And then after killing Savitar, Barry joins the Speed Force as a repent for the Flashpoint problem. This was a really cool episode, or a really cool season, and I'll break down who Savitar is real quick. Spoiler warning on this. Savitar is a future Flash that lost all hope. So then he comes back to just seek revenge for everything.
Sounds like Flash, though he has this time control kind of thing, or time travel, has really bad control. That's what it is, over his time travel.
And he, over these seasons, he learns to not touch time, and then other people do, and he has to stop them. There's one part I really liked it where I think it might have been this season actually. No, it was the season before this maybe, where he goes back in time and makes a loop. So where he could pull this extra berry that happens when you make a loop to help him fight the next guy. So there's 2 berries fighting because one of them was from when he made a loop and he took that guy out. Yeah, it was really cool.
It's crazy.
So it's a good show. Let's see, season 4. Barry is brought back from the Speed Force. So yeah, the Speed Force is kind of like this speed god. It's a whole thing. I don't know how to go. It's like Speed Heaven. And so he goes to Speed Heaven to basically repent for creating Flashpoint, messing up the timeline.
Is it like the Council of Ricks?
No. It's hard to explain, but I'm gonna honestly say it's like Speed Heaven.
Okay, Speed Heaven.
In the process of bringing him back, they end up creating this dark matter that ends up making a bunch of metas on his bus. Clifford DeVoe he's the villain, one of Flash's main villains. He ends up farming the abilities from all these new humans that were just created to create himself a superhuman. And then let's see what else happens. and they end up defeating Defoe, which was a really good villain too, because he basically played games in the way that like he would set it up to where Barry thought he was beating him and like captured him halfway through.
Yeah.
But then he was like, yeah, but that's on cameras. Mysterio from Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That finale, he does that kind of thing to him like throughout the whole thing. It's really well done.
Just keeping him on the lure pretty much the whole time.
Exactly. Season 5. So at the end of season 4, Nora West Allen shows up, and she's actually his daughter, Iris, and Barry's daughter from the future. So in season 5, we have Nora the whole time. She's working with Team Flash. Their villain is Cicada, who is a very cool villain because he's actually like trying to save his adopted daughter's whole thing. And in this process, they end up messing up the timeline, erasing Nora, his daughter. And from the very first season, like very first episode, there's this thing where they know that there's this future. They have this future news article from when Harrison Wells was Eobard that shows that like Flash disappears a certain year. Yeah. And they don't know what happens to him. So he's like, okay, we got to figure that out at some point. After they mess up the timeline, they find out that like moved up a lot. And so now they have to figure out what's going on with that. So that's kind of always been this crutch on the thing. Season 6 started October 8th. So you guys can get on that one. We got Supergirl next, Legends of Tomorrow after that, and then we'll go into Black Lightning. All these ones are pretty fast. Supergirl, easily the worst one.
Really?
I hate Supergirl. Season 1 was on CBS. Kara becomes Supergirl, fights criminals that were imprisoned by her mom because like they were like in the bad zone, whatever that's called. I forget what it's called. For Superman. What is that called?
I don't know. The bad zone for Superman?
That's like Dead Zone or something like that. Remember where they like imprison people into like another dimension and they come back out later on?
Oh, yeah. I don't remember what that's called either, though. What it's called.
So anyways, they escape and she's fighting them off. One of them is her aunt Astra, who looks just like her mom. They had to save money on actors. And
her mom's identical twin.
And so she's like leading this like villain thing. She's joined by her sister, Alex Danvers. I really like that character. And the thing that saves this whole show, she's also joined by the Green Martian, John Johns. So
I didn't know they brought him into that.
Yeah.
I'm a little upset they didn't tell me.
Season 2, they moved to CW, so the show changed gears a lot. They went to what CW does. It became a lot more about the supporting characters as well, not just the superheroes. So you got like Team Supergirl.
Yeah.
The big crux on this show in this season is that they're trying to help aliens that are on Earth and trying to live amongst humans. So they're trying to like defend aliens and stuff like that. The villains here is Project Cadmus and Lillian Luthor, which is Lux's mom. And Kara befriends Lena Luthor, which is actually a really cool character as well. That's Lex's sister. And then a big thing on this one, love story wise, Mon-El from Daxam shows up. And Mon-El, so Daxam is a planet that's next to Krypton. And it reminds me so much of Saga, where you have like the moon and the earth where like they're warring, but these two like each other. So they end up falling in love. Gotcha. And Daxam was like, while they had military or while they had like royalty and stuff like that, they were like looked at as like behind the times by the Kryptonians, which were much more like Senate. And so you're thinking of like Athens and Sparta.
Yeah.
That's what I want to say right there.
There you go.
So he's from Sparta, she's from Athens.
Yeah.
But space. So
it's like a Romeo and Juliet romance between them.
Yeah. And eventually he disappears. That's the whole thing. And then Jimmy Olsen, which is just called James Olsen in this, he becomes the Guardian, which is like their version of Captain America. He has a shield and everything. It's crazy.
Is it a vibranium shield?
No, it's dumb. I don't like Supergirl.
Okay.
I watch it because they do tie-in episodes every season. Yeah. So you kind of got to keep up on Supergirl so you can see why she's dancing with Flash. That's literally something that happened.
Oh my God.
Season 3.
I can't keep up.
That's why you're doing this. And we're 56 minutes in. Mon-El, he had to leave in the last one, but he's back. But he's back from like the future, actually, from like what had been the future. And he's part of a group called the Legion, and he has a new girlfriend. And then the other thing is Kara has this new friend is like a mom or whatever. And we slowly see that she's actually from Krypton, and she's this like bringer of apocalypse. And she's just as good at fighting as Supergirl, but she's bad. And so she's like this growing problem. It's a bad season. Season 4, aliens are like now hated by society. It's kind of like the like mutants thing from X-Men. The Children of Liberty is this group that's like against aliens. They're started by this one dude that had like all bad things happen to him from aliens. Kara has a clone now, and it's called the Red Daughter. Lex Luthor is the one making this, and it's going to be like this thing that comes and fights Kara. So we have that kind of thing going on.
Nice. And
then Kara and Alex actually start to clash with the government because the whole time they're working with the government to protect aliens and Earth from aliens. Mm-hmm. But now they're clashing. You guys can catch season 5. It started October 6th. Again, it's probably my least favorite of all of them.
Their seasons or shows.
Yeah, the first season wasn't terrible, but it's not very good. The last, this is the last big one. Legends of Tomorrow. This is actually a really fun one. I think you might actually enjoy this. Yeah. So the idea of Legends of Tomorrow, I'll just kind of fast forward a little bit on how this goes. So think of, you have to create your time traveler. Rip Hunter's a time traveler, right? And the premise of the first season is, in the future, there's this guy that runs the world. His name's Randall Savage. And he kills your wife and your child, and you're a time traveler and you work for the Time Masters, which job is to maintain the timeline. Yeah. Well, you're like, screw that. Randall Savage needs to go down. Yeah. So you need to find a way to get a superhero team together strong enough to take out Randall Savage. So what he does is he goes back in time and he grabs all these a lot of the side characters that are like, so he gets Black Canary, the first one, Sarah Lance. He gets her. He gets Palmer, which is the guy that was Superman Returns. He now is called Adam. He's basically Ant-Man, the way he shrinks down. So he grabs a lot of these side characters to join him, the bad guys for Flash and stuff like that to join them. And the reason he grabs them is because while they're trying to do good in their current timelines, in the future they're forgotten. Yeah. So they can't mess up the timeline because you guys never were successful. You're nobody. Flash was the hero.
But if you want a reputation, if you want to be remembered, you need to come to the future and stop the big bad.
Not even that. Like if you guys want to do good, you guys are trying to do good, but we know that nothing comes of it. Yeah. Come join us and protect timelines. So then they jump around and
does he have to destroy the time council or whatever before any of that happens?
So let me explain. Okay. So he finds out that the Time Masters, which is the Time Council, they're actually working with Randall Savage. Yeah, of course. And so
what was the show that I read the comics of, and then I watched the show.
Oh God, that was a good show.
The Academy.
Umbrella
Academy. Yeah, it was the same kind of thing. You had to destroy the committee or whatever account or team of people who are managing time before you can go ahead and manipulate time the way you need it. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So they Captain Cold ends up dying in this one, which was one of the really good characters. He ends up dying in this one to destroy the Time Masters and free up everything and get rid of Randall Savage. Nice. So season 1 was really good and it kind of brings everybody in. Season 2, there's no more Time Masters. So the team is trying to protect time by themselves. Mm-hmm. Rip is gone, so now Sarah Lance is like in charge of things. She's a very good captain. I really liked her as a captain. Mm-hmm. Sarah Lance is now called White Canary. The villains in this one is the Legion of Doom, and it's led by Eobard Thawne, which is, of course, you remember him from the main villains from Flash Season 1 that we were talking about, the one that secretly was Harrison Wells. Yeah. Damien Dark from Arrow, the one that was the head killed. I'll just keep going. Malcolm Merlin from Season 1 of Arrow. Uh-huh. They basically, and then also Leonard Snark, which is Captain Cold, but a different timeline one that didn't become good with them that is still villainous.
Gotcha. Evil one.
So Captain it's Cold. Like all the best villains from the other shows are now teaming up, just like all the good ones are. They're hunting for the Spear of Destiny from the Bible. With that, they could permanently change fate to where time can't change it. Mm. So they're like, we could actually make it to where they can't mess with us. And then Vixen and Steel join the team as the new superheroes that join the team. And then season 3, time's all messed up from the events of the last season. Like there's dinosaurs in the middle of Japan, stuff like that. It's weird stuff. This whole time, Rip actually invented the Time Bureau, which is like a new version of the Time Masters. That works just like Men in Black. They look like Men in Black. They're Men in Black.
I was thinking of, what was the other movie too that was R.I.P.?
Yeah, R.I.P.D.
Yeah. It sounds like, I don't know.
Like that, yeah.
That's cool.
So they're just protecting time. And then Nora Dark, which is Damien's daughter, and this demon, basically Malice, resurrect Damien, and they work to so they know through time travel that at some point Arrow kills Damien. And we know that because it was 2 seasons ago in Arrow, he killed Damien. Yeah. So now they're like, okay, we got to figure out a way to get past that part of history. We have to be able to change it to where Arrow doesn't end up killing Damien. Mm-hmm. So they're working on that. And then in this process, Wally West, which is like the sidekick to Flash, joins the team. So now they have a Flash. Yeah. Season 4, the last season we had, John Constantine joins the team. He's a badass, of course. Yeah. There's also a Constantine show we won't go over because it was already canceled, but it's 1 season and it was fantastic. And it follows the Hellraiser comics. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. They're hunting down magic-based villains throughout time after defeating Malice. And then Constantine's villain, Neron, is the one that's actually like causing all these problems. So they're fighting Constantine's bad guys. Season 5 for this one doesn't start till January 2020. They're usually shorter. So like all these other ones are 22 episodes per season. They're fat seasons.
Yeah.
This one's usually like 10. Right. So they're shorter ones because they're like an all-star team. Last thing we're going to really talk about is Black Lightning. Black Lightning. See, it only has 2 seasons. Season 1, just to give you kind of a quick premise of the show, because I haven't watched these ones yet. They're on my list. But Jefferson Pierce is this, lightning controlling superhero. He's retired now for 9 years. He comes out of retirement as a vigilante again to fight off the 100. That's season 1. Season 2, basically the same thing, but this time he's also trying to fight off the corrupt government that's over Freeland, which is his like hometown.
I might be really wrong, but doesn't Black Lightning come from Static Shock?
I don't think so. Maybe.
I thought Static Shock becomes Black Lightning when he grows up.
I don't know. Google that up, man. While I'm doing that. I got one more thing to go.
I'm pretty sure that Daniel would just love that.
Oh my god. Oh yeah, I'll tell him that. Season 3 premiered on October 7th. Check that out, guys. I still got to catch up on this. So much of this stuff to watch. 22 episodes per season. How are you supposed to do it?
Yeah, right.
Batwoman, which is the season premiere, the series premiere, is started October 6th. So you guys check that out. It's got Ruby Rose, I think is the name. She's awesome. I'm a big Ruby Rose fan.
I'm wrong. I find a review or whatever that says right away, Black Lightning is not an adult version of Static Shock.
Okay, they have the similar powers. It's not.
Yeah, I don't know why I assumed they were like tied together.